Hi everyone, I'm Gemma,
I'm Matty.
and this is Around the Block, a brand new podcast all about stammering, brought to you by STAMMA, aka the British Stammering Association. Hello, Matty there?
Hello. Yes, I am here.
Hello! I'm staring at a black screen, so I don't know if you're, if you're there or not.
I very much am. We are back for episode 3. This one is all about Zoom, Gemma.
Yeah, Zoom, doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dreaded Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be talking about Zoom whilst recording on Zoom. It's got a delicious sort of circular nature to it. Zoom has absolutely thrived during the pandemic, so why not? Let's just chat about it. But before we jump in, how has your week been? Have you had any stammering instances that you would like to tell us about?
Oh yes. I whilst I've been looking for a job in the TV industry, I've been cleaning I've been cleaning on the side, and there's a lovely person that I clean for. She's so nice. And the other day she was asking me about if I've managed to find a job, and I said I did have not an interview, like a phone chat about a job, but unfortunately I didn't get the job. And I disclosed to her, I said I have a stammer, so I find like interviews on the phone really hard in comparison to face in interviews. And she was like, oh wow, she was like, I never knew that you had a stammer. And she said to me, that must be really like a stressful thing for you to think about, on top of having to have an interview. And she was just so lovely and so insightful, to think about how difficult that must be for a person who stammers from a person who does not. I think that was a really lovely way to make me feel a bit more comfortable. So yeah, that was a really lovely little story.
Oh, that just sounds great, and it is always really, really nice to meet someone who is a genuine ally. It's amazing. So I also have a story to tell you, and in hindsight, we probably should have done this in a different order, because I'm probably going to bring the tone down slightly.
Just make us all feel so
absolutely
upset.
I had just a classic Matty stammering moment. So the weekend, it was my girlfriend's 23rd, and we decided that I was going to cook ribs for us. So I went down to the butcher shop just at the end of our road, obviously with the intention to get myself some ribs. And I've always had this fear of butchers. Like, I've always been like very don't like.
You do know that
very.
You do know that
how that sounds.
But they kill like sheep and cows. They won't kill you.
It's never really been based in the whole sort of cleaver, sharp objects reasoning. It's just that I've always found butcher shops to be a particularly sort of macho environment. And for those that know me, macho is very much not an adjective that you would associate with me. And I've just always found them to be fair, like just relatively intimidating places.
Yes, you're so right.
And so I head in there, and I actually have a really, really nice chat with the 3 guys that they have what I want. They give me tips on how to cook it, on how long it will last. I think that they swindled me slightly in that I bought like far too much. But
you bought a whole rack of ribs.
I bought 2 racks for 2 people.
Can I just say, as a person who doesn't eat meat, this conversation is really gross.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have no idea what I'm talking about. And so, as I was going to leave, the main guy that I had been talking to said, so he asked if I was local, whatever, and then he asked my name. And suddenly that sort of childhood fear of sort of macho culture and everything just really came back to me.
Mm.
And I didn't even attempt to say my own name. Like, I just said a different name.
Mm.
And I've been doing that on and off occasionally for like as long as I can remember. But like, it's actually been quite a while since I've done it. But like, in that moment, in that sort of split second, like I thought, am I going to attempt to say my own name?
Mm.
And I just like, yeah, just did not have it in me, you know. And like, obviously he took me at face value, right? Like,
He wasn't like, sorry,
like,
I think you're lying.
No. And so what previously had been just a really, really nice experience for me suddenly took on like a far, far less sort of warm glow, really. Yeah.
I think that's okay. I know that there are people who are like, oh, but that's not what you should do as a person who is trying to accept, or a person who has accepted their stammer. It's contradictory to do things like that. However,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you have to do things to make yourself feel okay, or make your life easier now and again. I think that's fine. I think it's a physical struggle for you, and it induces a lot of ans- 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 anxiety. So why wouldn't you do something to a stranger who you're never going to see again, or you might do, you know, and they go, hi
Hopefully
Ben.
not.
Hey, look everyone, it's Ben.
I know.
But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
of
that's
course.
okay. I mean, I do that at the gym because, oh god, they do this new thing at the gym. Well, when gyms were open, I was going to their classes, and when you walk in, they make you say your name in front of everyone.
Oh, it's so unnecessary.
Right? Why can't you just go
It's so
like?
unnecessary.
I know. Why can't you just check yourself in? So I would always say
No one goes to the
Claire.
gym to talk to people.
I
Yeah.
know, and so I always said Claire. That's like my go-to, like fake name, Claire. It's a dangerous game because obviously a woman called Claire probably hasn't signed up to this class.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
might
you are
kick me
really
out.
playing with fire, aren't you? Very
But
much
I
so.
mean, for things like that, I don't want me going to a class which is meant to de-stress me and meant to be something that's going to make me feel good to turn into a stressful
Yeah,
situation.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
why should we put ourselves through that? So I think if there's that small thing you can do, you know, then why not? I'm not saying go change your name.
Well, good. Thank
Yeah.
you. But like, that story did very much have a good ending because, you know, I got to eat 2 kilos of pork ribs at the end of it. Speaking of good news, you have a new job, Gemma.
Yes, I do. I do. I finally got a job after months and months of applying for jobs every freaking day. Finally got a job with the BBC on their documentaries team. Very, very excited. I start tomorrow, and
Oh, wow.
I'm already feeling a bit anxious about meeting everyone. I know that's
Yeah.
stupid. I know it's not stupid, but I feel like I
That's
probably
not
don't.
stupid at all. It's normal, I think.
Yeah, but I
That's
just get
good.
annoyed because I've done this before loads of times, and I feel like, oh, here I am back again, feeling anxious about the same freaking stuff. And I know that, you know, we'll talk about this more, but I know on Zoom, obviously, your name pops up, so I don't have to say my name at least. But I just really hope they don't say, tell us a bit about you,
Yeah,
because,
do that classic.
oh,
Tell us like 3 facts about yourself. A
yeah.
funny one, an interesting one, an embarrassing one.
Yeah, oh, God.
Those icebreakers.
Yeah, just anything like that. Don't you love when you jump on a Zoom call and there's loads of people on that call because you know you're not going to have to talk, like you know that
Yeah.
they're not going to like give a crap about you. So I'm hoping it's a big team.
So so my absolute favourite types of Zooms are you just load in and there's, I don't know, 10, 12 people and everybody has their mics and cameras off.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm in for a fantastic hour.
Yeah.
a really unproductive one, but I am going to enjoy this.
I love that. Yeah, I love those. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you will be doing in this position.
The job is called production coordinator, and for anyone who's not in the TV world, that's like a logistical based job where
Okay, nice.
you organize shoots, transport, crew, camera equipment, accommodation, food, press stuff, post production, paperwork, all that stuff that needs to be done. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
But I know it's going to be busy. I know it's going to be hard work. But I mean, I've had like months of sitting on my arse, so I mean,
I've had
it's
time
all
to
good.
rev up for that.
Yeah, yeah.
That is just awesome, and I think
Oh, thank you.
just a huge congratulations on that, because it is not at all easy to find a job in a pandemic. So
yeah, it's been a stress, but yeah,
absolutely.
I was going to ask you, because obviously you started a new job a few months ago, and I was going to ask you what that's been like, and how was it when you met the team, and
That sort of aspect of meeting your new team for the first time is obviously a really stressful thing to do, just with any job, and you know, and I have found that it is even more so with a stammer, and it's sort of even more so in these COVID times when everything is done through a computer screen on Zoom with a really small picture of your face. So I was quite lucky because my team is relatively small and quite lean. So the interview process, I essentially met half of my team through the interview process, which obviously adds more pressure and more nerves to the interviews themselves. But when it comes to starting, it certainly, I found, made it a little bit easier to sort of feel a little bit more part of the team from them. But kind of how to link that back to stammering and sort of to the sort of main fear that I had, and I presume that you have, is what we touched on earlier. But the introducing yourself to a new team is like, it's worrying. It really is.
Oh God.
My boss really took it upon himself to introduce me to the rest of the team, essentially. Be like, hey,
don't you
everyone,
just
like,
love that? Like when someone
I
goes, "Let me introduce you,"
I
I'm like,
absolutely do.
I freaking love
And
you so much.
yeah, of course. And that I am certain that it wasn't done because he knew that I had a stammer and because he knew that he was feeling anxious about that at all. Like, I don't think I'd even disclosed at that point. It's just purely because it kind of feels to me sort of part of the role of a boss to introduce this new hire. Like, you know, like it's part of their role to introduce you. That I certainly found helped me. But where, I'm not going to say where I sort of came unstuck, but where my stammer became a little bit more obvious was just in sort of whole team meetings. And just because our team is very small and it's very lean, but we very much all have our own job and our own area of the company that we are responsible for, and through that we are responsible for updating the rest of the team on our area. And so certainly the first time that I remember stammering in front of the team was during that first team meeting, but no one commented on it at all, which I was quite thankful for, if I'm being totally honest. I guess I can just hope that it goes as well tomorrow as it went for me.
Well, when you did stammer, what was that like? What was going through your mind? What was the fear? Was it that everybody might find out, or that you haven't had the chance to properly like let people get to know you? Does that make sense? Before they have like a preconception, or
So the very first time, I had two thoughts in my mind at that point. First being that I really need to bring my eyes back to looking at the camera because because I am a classic person who stammers, and as soon as I begin to block, my eyes are just all over the place.
Yeah, same.
So that certainly was okay, like Matty, like it kind of doesn't really matter how long this block goes on for, just show that I'm sort of still engaged.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't particularly mind them finding out about it because I'm very much of the view that my stammer is out there. It's very much a part of me, and it would just be an impossible task for me to actively try to hide it for however long I'm going to be in this career. And I don't think that they would then get a full experience of who I am if I'm hiding a part of myself. So how did you interview for this job? Because I want to move into a sort of towards talking about Zoom, but I think that the interview process is a particularly high stressful one for people with stammers. So I'm curious about how yours went and how you think that you dealt with it.
Well, luckily in the TV industry, you don't really have interviews unless you're interviewing for like
That's the absolute dream.
I know, for like ITV, because it's wrongly, I don't agree with it, is that it's all about who you know, and there's this Facebook page where you apply for jobs, and people put up posts and say, email me your experience, blah blah blah, and then they give you a quick call, and you have a chat about your experience, and it's really it's not it's an informal chat. So yeah, I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still stressed out, but I'm when I've had
Obviously.
like, yeah, of course, but when I've had formal interviews in the past for my job at ITV, oh my god, it was much more of a stressful situation. I mean, I feel so sorry for you, having to do like proper interviews. It must be so stressful, and I'm sure you have a lot more to talk about and experiences of what it's like as a person who stammers. I was just going to ask you about Zoom in a general sense and how you
Yeah.
find it in comparison to talking one on one or talking to your team. Do you find yourself stammering more on Zoom compared to being face to face?
Yes, I think I probably do stammer a little bit more frequently Zoom as opposed to face to face. If I'm being totally honest, I feel like I've almost entirely forgotten how to face communicate with people
Because it's been so long.
It has been so long. Like I'm fairly certain I know how to talk to my girlfriend, but other than that, I have no idea. But I certainly find that my blocks last longer, and I think and like noticeably so. Is that sort of what you've experienced as well, or have you found the opposite?
I think for me, I'm very influenced by the environment I'm in. For me, there's something about being more at ease in my own space that during like a Zoom chat or an interview online now, it's a benefit of Zoom is that I can be in my own room, which is very zen, and have candles and do things to make me feel less stressed. So I think that just puts me at ease. And it's not to say
Absolutely.
I don't stammer more. It's about my own feelings towards my stammer. I cannot let it get me so anxious. I can just kind of like bounce back. Not I get so distracted on a block. I forget what I'm trying to say. I've done that so many times just whilst I'm talking to you now. I'm just trying to remember my train of thought. So I think there's a benefit from being in your own space. I mean, part of the stress of an interview is going to that corporate building, that's normally quite cold, quite big. It's quite intimidating. and you're sat in an environment that you don't know with people you've never met, that stresses me out more. You know, like the traveling up there to go to an interview. So there's something about now being able to be in your own space. I think that hopefully people who stammer, that's a positive thing. Even though I know
definitely.
I totally understand that. Like I said, when I'm on Zoom, I stammer more. When I'm on the phone, I stammer more too. But I really try my hardest to make myself feel as comfortable as I can. Like right now, I'm got my, what's it called, the diffuser. You know, when you put essential
Oh yeah.
o- o- oils in. I do that every single time that we sit down to chat because it just makes me feel more at ease. So
It just calms everything down. It's
yeah, yeah,
nice.
and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Smart.
I also thought of a good tip is that, you know, as opposed to face interviews, you can't bring in your notes to an
Yeah.
in an interview of things to say. But I actually have an interview coming up in a few weeks. I know I have a job, but it's actually for another job. But as more of like a
Can't just be
practice.
broadcasting that. You can't be saying
Oh,
that.
but there's a benefit in that. You can like stick up notes behind your screen,
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
to remind you. You could literally read it like a script,
Yeah.
of points that you have to hit. And I know as people who stammer, we have it harder because we also try to avoid words that we know we can't say. So our brain is doing oh overtime. So you can almost
Yeah.
plan meticulously the points that you want to say and the words that you want to use. So I'd say that's a real plus
Definitely.
point. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And that would help you in terms of really trying to maintain eye contact, because that's
Mm,
but that's something that often lots of people who stammer, that it becomes really quite tricky to maintain eye contact whilst
mm,
they are stammering or blocking or however. And as much as it's easy to tear your eyes away when you're speaking face to face, it then becomes even easier with Zoom because kind of person isn't really in the same room as you.
mm,
But I found that it's almost quite a good way for me to sort of practice not losing eye contact, because it's something I really haven't got a handle on at all. But I find that even if I'm stammering, if I just make sure just to really just to stare at my laptop camera and just to really sort of hold myself there, and in the sort of hope that
mm,
when it comes to face speaking, that it's good practice for me and it will have benefited me. Um,
mm.
but I certainly think that it shows I'm still engaged with someone, and therefore they should probably still be engaged with me.
That's really good, and you're almost preparing for the real world again
Yeah,
because as stammerers, we're gonna have to go out there and have face-to-face chats, something that we haven't
I'm
really
really
done
not
for
looking forward to the real world.
yeah, for like this whole
I'm
year.
absolutely terrified of it. I have
God,
no idea what's
yes,
going on out there.
it's gonna be so weird. Like even
It's going to be
do you,
weird.
do you know when you have the odd chat with someone when you go into a shop now, and it's
Yeah,
just so weird. It's so strange. Yeah,
it
but
is
I
odd.
mean, that's a great little tip to do, a tip or thing that you can do to like bring, and it's bringing yourself back to the converse conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
Um,
how I was going to ask you, how do you feel about seeing yourself on Zoom when you stammer, like mid block?
I mean, look, I don't love it. It's not pleasant.
You don't
I
love
mean,
it? I
no, I
love
don't love it.
it.
I think that it's see, as much as I really don't like to see myself stammer, and I would I do everything I can just to not look at myself. I think it's a relatively good way to sort of get a very true picture of what I look like when I'm stammering, because in my head, for moments that I'm stammering, my face is contorted, like I just look all twisted up, and my eyes have rolled back and all of this. but I think that it has actually been quite beneficial for me just to really look at what I actually do look like, and it's very much nowhere near as bad as I think that it is.
Yeah.
But I think that if I was that way inclined, and if I was someone who was extremely driven by sort of self-analysis and self-reflection, I think it would be quite a useful tool for me, because I could see what I look like. I could sort of almost get a sense of where I think the block is coming from. Is it a lack of breath? Is it mouth oriented? Like, is it my posture? Yada yada yada. And I could really learn from that.
So it's almost like an opportunity to actually delve into that moment when we have a block, and to be able to almost press pause and to also desensitize ourselves from that moment where we're mid block. But you're so right. I agree. When you stammer, it's much worse in your head than it is for the person. And there's a little tip that you can turn off self view in Zoom by clicking the 3 dots on the screen next to your Zoom video and going into hide self view, so you can basically turn off your screen so you can't see yourself on Zoom, which is brilliant.
I really wish that I'd known that prior to doing that whole last bit.
Yeah, that literally would have saved you so much stress.
Got out of here, couldn't I? So we've touched on it, I think, a couple of times earlier, but one of the advantages that I certainly have found, and I think what you probably agree with, is when you load into Zoom, it just says your name underneath your picture.
Thank God.
And have you found that the benefits of that they manifest themselves in that you sort of don't even really need to introduce yourself, because it's there already for you?
Yeah, yes, I love it. I mean, there are a few times in the past when we've been on like department chats, and we have to go around and introduce ourselves, which, oh my God, has induced my anxiety so much. But luckily they did it team by team, so my boss went first, and then she said, and I work with Gemma, who's my production coordinator. Then I jumped in and said, "Hi, everyone." So
classic.
Yes, I was like,
on an opportunity.
There's my time.
I'll take that.
Yeah. It's little things like that. But even if she didn't, even if we went round in a random order, I probably wouldn't even say my name, because there's no point. You can see my name right there. I'm not going
waste of energy.
It is. I'm not going to cause so much and cause myself so much anxiety in front of the whole department. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in the future I will say to the executive who sets up those types of calls, I have a stammer, and introducing myself is really hard. So yeah, I think I definitely will, because I do not want to experience that again. But I don't know about you, but there's something about like bringing me back to my childhood and like my days at school, where you feel so out of control, like class presentations, or having to introduce yourself, and then not really, you not being okay with your stammer yourself, you not really getting much help, you not getting much support from your school. I mean, I'm just talking about my childhood here. I don't know about yours.
Nope, you're talking about mine also.
I'm talking about yours. But and there's
talking about a vast majority of people who start as childhoods.
Yeah, where you feel like, oh God, this is something I have to do, and I still have to remind myself I am going to be 26 in a few months. I'm an adult. I can choose what's going to make me feel okay. I can tell my employer, this does not make me feel comfortable, and they should, you know, work around that, rather than, I just feel like the times when I told my teachers at school that I have a stammer, and they said, oh, just make yourself, you know, feel calm and breathe, you know,
It's so
it's
unhelpful, isn't it?
it is, and it's those experiences that have like scarred me in a way, because I don't feel empowered. I don't. That's what it comes down
No,
to.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
of
feel
course.
empowered to stand up and say I don't feel comfortable with with this, and I think that's where that comes from.
Mhm. So the absolute sort of classic way for you to like get out of just any sort of extraordinarily long Zoom, you know, nonsense call, whatever, is just to turn off your Wi-Fi, because it won't just go like black straight away. It will like stop and glitch, and it looks like, so they've just had issues, and it's just crashed. And you
That's
can
brilliant.
then, which is absolutely not something that I have ever done. I just want to make this very, very clear to my friends and to my employer, whoever. Like, but I certainly have been told stories from people who just go to like big, ridiculously long Zoom quizzes for go on and on for like 9,000 hours, and they just do the little off internet. Oops.
That's freaking brilliant.
I guess the gods are against us. So yeah, so keep that in mind tomorrow if it's mad dull.
Yeah, just turn off my internet and be like, bye.
I'm out.
Yeah, bye.
Have you got any other thoughts about Zoom? I feel like we have covered it pretty in depth, but I mean, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, I think I'm all
You're out.
I think I'm all zoomed out.
So next week we will be mixing things up a bit. We're going to have a guest on to talk about the Netflix show Bridgerton and their portrayal of stammering. So tune in. It's going to be cracking.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, you can go to our website, stammer.org, or our Twitter page @stammer, or on Instagram with @stammer UK, and there's a Facebook page too. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.